Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to look at the subreddit r/entitledparents, where people tell us their stories of crazy mums and dads who think they're entitled just because they have kids. If you're new around here, please hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some Reddit stories. Entitled son deserves your £600 surfboard because you're distracting. So I'm a surfing instructor mainly during holidays. I do some in the off season, but there isn't much demand for it. And I surf in my free time too. The surf school is based in this little surf shack on the beach. The board I have is a Paizel brand from their Gremlin line. It's very new and probably the most expensive board I've ever bought. But I'm a bit of a board snob ever since I bought one from a cheaper brand and it snapped on the second use. Got caught in sand as a large wave hit and broke down the middle. RIP David Bordenas. However, since I bought my Gremlin, Surfy McSurfface, it has been a lure for entitled parents. When I bought it, it was about £600, as I got it new, but I'll admit I don't remember the exact price. Definitely over £550 plus shipping. There were only two colour options, white or green, and it's a pretty vivid green. I went with green because 1, everyone else has whiteboards and I didn't want it picked up accidentally, and 2, it looks really cool. It has a 5-fin setup, which means I can pick and choose how many fins and what positioning I want. I usually go with a thruster fin setup, 3 fins but different from the 2+1. The boards we have at the surf school are all bright orange. This is to help us ID the students, helps other surfers ID the students, and helps us find the boards at the end of the lesson. They are really ugly, but they do the job. They're also either a 2 or 2+1 fin setup, which is better for beginners as it stops them going too fast while still allowing them to turn. Backstory over. This incident happened today. And if anyone has seen my other entitled parent story, yes, this is 2 stories in a week, but it's summer, so entitled people are rife and they are angry. So I wasn't working today at the surf school, but as I have the next 2 days off, me and my boyfriend plan to go to the beach, do some surfing, then go camping. Because it was hot out, I opted for wearing my wetsuit on my lower half, folded below my waist, so I was only covering my legs and butt, and my bikini top. Some of my co-workers at the school saw me and waved me over, so my boyfriend went ahead while I went to speak to them in the shack. There were only 2 of them in there, and the 3 of us started talking. I kept Surfy under my arm while I said hi and did some catching up, trying to find out about Jack if anyone remembers my first story. And we were talking for a bit until we were interrupted. "If you're not too busy, we're here for the lesson." We immediately shut up and I looked at them as if to say, "Sorry lads, you're on your own." Entitled Dad was somewhere in his 40s, with a dad bod and a serious sunburn. Entitled Dad had Entitled Son with him. Entitled Son looked around 13 to 14, was wearing bright green shorts and seemed very embarrassed at his dad's actions. Coworker 1, heading over to the register to check him in, "I'm sorry sir, can we have you and your son's name please?" Entitled Dad, fully staring at my chest, "It's Entitled Dad and Entitled Son. She's not teaching, is she? I'm not on duty to..." Entitled Dad, still looking at my chest, "I didn't ask you, I asked these young men." Coworker number 2 says, "OP works here but isn't on duty today." Good. I'm sorry, is there a problem? "Just don't want anything distracting Entitled Son. He wants to do well here, he needs to focus." I assure you I am nothing but professional, but as coworker 1 and coworker 2 are the instructors for his first lessons, they tend to stick with their classes until the end of the course. "Is there anything else we can help you with before the session begins?" Entitled Son mutters something to Entitled Dad. "Yes, Entitled Son wants a board like hers. He hates orange, he likes green." "Sorry sir, but this is my board that I brought from home. It's a Paizel Gremlin, and you're welcome to purchase your own, but it's probably best that entitled son learns to surf before you spend £600 on a surfboard. £600? I'm not paying that. You said you worked here. You have to help us. Just give entitled son your board, even just for the session. It's not set up for him, it's set up for me, and it probably wouldn't fit him anyway. The Gremlin is designed to be shorter than most boards, and entitled son is taller than I am. Just let him use it, he doesn't like the other ones. I gave up after this, and wanting to get away from him, bid goodbye to coworker 1 and coworker 2, heading to the shore. I joined my boyfriend in the water. About 20 minutes pass and I see the new class, including coworker 1, 2, and entitled son, and about a dozen other students, all head into the water. As classes go, this is really big, and we try to have one tutor for every 5 students, so they barely got enough staff as it is. The first thing entitled son does is go really far out, pretty close to where me and my boyfriend are. And this is a very bad idea. He's on a beginner course while we've been surfing for years. I look over and coworker 1 and 2 are occupied with other students. Hey, entitled son, you might want to get a little closer to the shore. Bit far out for your first time. There's a wave coming. Lie flat and hang on the board and it'll take you closer to the shore. Don't stand up or you'll fall off. Entitled son, like father like son, he's staring at my chest. I'm fine. Hey, watch this. Entitled son tries to stand up, less than 5 minutes after he got on a surfboard for the first time. Because he has no idea what he's doing, he stands up on shaky legs and the wave immediately knocks him off. Entitled son bursts back out of the water and clambers back on his orange board, which takes him a few attempts as he keeps grabbing it incorrectly, so it turns over and hits him, rather than giving him a stable surface to climb back on. Entitled son gets back on the board, and appears to just sort of give up, kicking his way back to the shore, less about 5 minutes after he got into the ocean. On the beach, I see an irate entitled dad, gesturing for entitled son to get back up, but entitled son is not having it. I don't want to do it, it's too hard. Eventually, entitled son gets back to the beach and begins a shouting match with entitled dad. I'm too far out to hear anything, but I can see them both gesturing wildly and notice them both pointing at me. Uh-oh. I see coworker 2 head towards the shore, meaning coworker 1 has been left with about 13 kids to supervise. Coworker 2 gets close, staying in the water and near the students, but close enough to talk to entitled dad and entitled son. This is what coworker 2 said happened. I told you not to get distracted. She distracted me. I knew it. I knew she would be a problem. Is there an issue here? That girl distracted entitled son. I demand payback. No, I think by payback he meant compensation, but just didn't think to use the word or something. OP is an instructor here. I assure you if she said anything to entitled son, it was helpful advice. I arrived in the shallows and stood, holding Surfy under my arm. Is there a problem? You distracted him. You're why he fell. I saw entitled son was too far out for a beginner who'd been on a board 5 minutes, so I suggested he go back. I told him to lie flat and use the wave to get back, and told him not to stand. You distracted him, this is your fault. Look, clearly there's been a crossed wire here. Clearly, we demand payback. Sir, with all due respect, I did nothing to distract entitled son. I gave him some advice as he's clearly gone way too far out. That's all. BS! If you just covered up, he would have been fine out there, but you distracted him. So you're saying my appearance was why entitled son fell off his board? Not the fact that he went too far out after being advised against it, and then tried to stand up after being told to lie down? I was the problem here? We demand payback. "Sir, there are children nearby. If you lower your voice, we can offer you a free session, but this was really not OP's fault." Entitled Dad finally lowering his voice. "Not good enough. What do you want, Entitled Son?" Entitled Son is just sort of looking at the ground, his whole face bright red. I almost feel bad for the kid until he says this. "The board?" "You heard him. Hand it over." He starts snapping his fingers, like him clicking will make me give it to him. "Fine, that'll be £600. "This is all your fault. We're not paying for anything." "No, this is mine, and it's meant for people who are at an intermediate or advanced level, not a newbie. Not only would the board not fit him, but the fin setup would just lead him to falling over again. Plus, I didn't actually do anything wrong here. We're the customer is always right. It's all your fault anyway, so give us the darn board." My boyfriend finally getting in. "Babe, you ready to go?" I look at coworker 2, who gives me the nod as if to say, "I got this." "Yup, let's go." We walk away, leaving an irate entitled dad behind us, and entitled son looking equal parts indignant and regretful. Coworker 2 texted me, saying that after we left they realised they weren't getting the board, and took the free session voucher, but not before asking for the manager's contact info, which coworker 1 gave to them after telling the manager what happened. I'm sorry, but that entitled dad was just a bit of a loser, like he's a legit adult throwing a tantrum. Specialists know nothing about my child. Backstory. Daughter had been diagnosed with a strain of albinism when she was an infant. Even with the diagnosis, entitled douche, we separated when she was 5, was irresponsible when it came to her condition. Daughter needed protection from the son, but he refused to ensure she was protected. Always a "she will be right mate" attitudes towards anything important. After we split, I took daughter to specialists because daughter had certain issues that I couldn't ignore. She was having difficulty in learning and constant meltdowns, no matter what I tried. Daughter was diagnosed with a condition that required support in a classroom and at home, not divulging the condition. During visitation changeover, I decided to inform entitled douche of daughter's diagnosis and how to handle behavioral issues. The following conversation occurred when entitled douche was packing his car with daughter's belongings. Daughter has been diagnosed with this condition." "What does that mean? There's nothing wrong with her." "Yes, there is. The specialists have said so." Entitled douche yelling, "No, they don't know what they're fudging talking about." "Where's your degree?" "What?" "Where's your degree, since apparently you know more than the specialists." "Whatever, I'm not listening to them anyway." "You need to. It's important to help her any way we can." "You can't tell me what to fudging do." Sighing, I gave up to prevent a huge argument in front of daughter. Entitled douche couldn't be responsible even when he was legally obligated. He eventually gave up on daughter, and we haven't seen entitled douche in a number of years. Daughter is doing well and is quite talented in art. So proud of her. I ensure she feels loved and supported. Well, it's just a good job that he's out of the life now, isn't it? Stepmom wears white to the wedding. So I was at a wedding today that was a mess from the word go. The bride was beautiful, it was hot as hell, and yet she still shone. Her groom was 35 minutes late to the wedding venue, but she didn't let that bother her. The kids, they were married before to each other, kept talking and walking around. Once, the 3-year-old almost toppled into the pond. The bride was graceful and all smiles. It was mentioned that this was an unplugged wedding, but her dad and his mum both stood up and took photos, interrupting the ceremony. The bride laughed and carried on. It appeared it was going to be a perfect day. Then she saw Stepmom. The 70-something lady was wearing a white gown. Who does that? Seriously, I was appalled by it, and I even text messaged my husband, who wasn't there, beforehand to tell him. The bride refused, understandably, to talk to the lady. She, the entitled mother, made a huge deal that "My daughter won't talk to her today, and it breaks my heart." The bride was epic though. She finally looked at the 70+ baby and said, "My 3-year-olds know that you don't make scenes like that in public without repercussions." The entitled mother acted shocked and said, "Well, I don't know what you mean." The beautiful bride just said, "You know full well that you don't wear white to a wedding, so sit down, shut up, and have fun, or leave." I was impressed. Not as climatic as some, but it was amazing in person. All you've got to do is get some red wine and accidentally spill it on her. Whoops. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.